Have you ever woken up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. only to wonder, why now? You might roll over, check your phone and try to force yourself back to sleep. But what if I told you that this hour, this sacred time, could be the doorway to your transformation? In the words of Shi Heng Yi, the Shaolin master and guardian of inner discipline, if you want to master your life, you must first master your energy. And there is no more powerful time to do that than between 3 and 5 a.m. This is not just about mysticism or ancient tradition. This window of time is when your body is still, your mind is quiet, and your surroundings are undisturbed. It is the perfect time to recalibrate, refocus, and realign. So if you wake up at this hour, don't fight it, use it. Here are 3 powerful things you can do, inspired by the timeless Shaolin habits taught by Master Shi Heng Yi. When you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the world is still. The noise hasn't begun yet. The mind is not yet filled with all the burdens of the day. This is a sacred window, a time when you can connect with something deeper than the usual flow of life. One of the most essential and often underestimated actions you can take in these early hours is to breathe with intention. Not just to breathe as a function of survival, but to breathe as a way to awaken your consciousness and direct your energy with purpose. Shi Heng Yi often reminds us that breath is the bridge between body and mind. It's the rhythm that shapes our awareness and the starting point of all inner mastery. The moment you realize you're awake at this hour, don't reach for your phone or try to fall back asleep out of habit. Instead, gently bring your attention to your breath. Start by noticing it. Without changing it, just feel the rise and fall, the gentle flow in and out of your nostrils, the way your chest or belly responds to each breath. You are not trying to do anything except arrive here in this moment. In this quiet presence, you allow yourself to feel the life force that is always with you, yet so often unnoticed. This is not a technique reserved only for monks or spiritual seekers. It's for anyone who wants to live with more awareness and clarity. Once your breath becomes the focus, the mind begins to follow. Thoughts may still come, but now you are watching them from a place of stillness. You're not chasing them. You're not judging them. You're simply breathing. This is where the power begins. Breathing with intention means you are not just living automatically anymore. You are claiming responsibility for your presence. You are deciding what kind of energy you want to bring into your day. And this decision begins with how you breathe. Now gently begin to guide your breath a little deeper. Inhale slowly through your nose. Feel your lungs expand like a balloon. And exhale gently through your mouth, allowing any tension to dissolve. Do this a few times with full attention. You'll notice your heart rate slows, your mind settles, and a quiet strength begins to arise from within. This isn't just relaxation, it is the foundation of self-mastery. In these early hours, breathwork isn't a routine, it's a ritual, a quiet ceremony between you and your spirit. The reason this time is so powerful is because your subconscious mind is still open. You haven't yet entered the momentum of the day, the notifications, the schedules, the responsibilities. In this gap between night and day, you have the rare opportunity to align your mind and body before the world enters. By breathing intentionally, you become the author of your state of being. You train your nervous system to respond instead of react. You prepare your awareness to see more clearly and act more wisely. You are no longer waking up to chaos, you are waking up to clarity. Shi Heng Yi teaches that when you control your breath, you control your emotions, and when you control your emotions, you control your actions. It all begins with this simple yet sacred practice of conscious breathing. You don't need a complex technique. You just need your willingness to be present. Even 5 minutes of focused breathing each morning has the potential to reshape how you meet challenges, how you handle stress, how you speak to others, and most importantly, how you speak to yourself. Some may wonder why breathing matters so much. The answer is not just in science, though. Even science confirms that deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing anxiety and increasing focus. The deeper truth lies in the experience. When you start your day from a place of calm, grounded breath, you carry that calm with you. People feel it. You speak slower, with more thought. You listen more deeply. You act from a place of strength instead of tension. This is not just about mornings, it's about your life. Breathing with intention also invites you to connect with your inner world before the outer world begins to influence you. It's a reminder that the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself. How you treat your breath reflects how you treat your life. Do you rush it? Do you ignore it? Or do you honor it with presence? If you choose to honor it even for a few moments each morning between 3 and 5, you are planting the seeds of presence, discipline, and these are the very roots of transformation. You do not need to change your entire life overnight. You simply need to start with one breath. Let that breath become a habit. Let that habit become a discipline. And let that discipline guide the way you walk through your days. Every breath you take with intention is a step closer to your true self. It is a return to your center, a reclaiming of your energy, and a quiet declaration that you are awake, not just physically but fully. So if you find yourself awake in the still hours before dawn, breathe, not because you must, but because you can. Because it is in this simple act that the door to self-mastery quietly opens, waiting for you to walk through it. When you wake up between 3 and 5 in the morning and begin your day with intentional breathing, you are already tuning into a different frequency, one that most people sleep through without ever realizing it exists. But your breath is only the beginning, because once your awareness begins to rise, the next step is to move your energy. This does not mean jumping into a heavy workout or pushing your body through stress. It means gentle movement that awakens your system from within, something much more subtle and wise than rushing to perform. Movement at this hour is not about force, it is about flow. It's about aligning yourself with the natural rhythm of life before the world starts to pull you in all directions. Shi Heng Yi often emphasizes that stagnation is the root of suffering. When your energy is blocked, your emotions become heavy, your mind gets cloudy, and your body starts to feel distant from itself. The body was made to move, not just for exercise, but for circulation of life force. And in these early hours, the way you move sets the tone for how your energy will carry through the day. A few stretches, a light series of movements, or a short qigong routine can be enough to break the stillness in a meaningful way and allow your energy to expand naturally. You are not pushing your body, you are listening to it and honoring its needs. As you rise from your bed, do not rush into brightness or noise. Instead, let your body guide you. Begin with a slow roll of the shoulders, a stretch of the arms, or a forward bend that lets your spine open. Each movement is a message to your nervous system that you are here, that you are grounded, that you are preparing to meet the world with awareness. In the Shaolin tradition, movement is meditation in action. When you move slowly with full presence, each gesture becomes sacred. The hand that lifts the arm, the feet that root into the floor, the spine that straightens to welcome the day, all of it becomes a form of inner communication. You are reminding your body that it is not separate from your mind or your spirit. You are one being moving in harmony. These movements are not random. They follow the wisdom of the body and the ancient principles that have guided monks for generations. In traditional Chinese medicine, the early morning hours are connected to the lungs, which represent grief breathing and the exchange of energy. By moving gently, you stimulate the lungs and encourage emotional release. You might not even realize how much emotional weight you've been carrying until you begin to move and feel it lifting. A deep exhale, a twist of the torso, a slow stretch of the back. Each one opens you to a little more space, a little more clarity, a little more strength. Energy that does not move becomes tension. Tension becomes fatigue. Fatigue becomes distraction. But when you move intentionally, even for just 10 minutes, you release the inner blockages that could shape your entire day. You're not just preparing your body, you're preparing your energy field. You are expanding the space around you and within you. Others may sleep through this hour and begin their day in reaction, but you are choosing to begin in creation. You are sculpting your energy like a silent artist crafting a masterpiece that only you can feel. The beauty of early morning movement is that it is not performance. There is no audience, no pressure, no goal beyond presence. You are not trying to prove anything. You are simply showing up for yourself in the most honest way. Shi Heng Yi teaches that true strength is not loud, it is calm. True power is not in the muscles, it is in the control of energy. And true discipline is not in extremes but in consistency. So if you move every morning with intention, you are building a discipline that no one can see, but everyone will feel. Your energy speaks louder than your words. When you carry clear and balanced energy into your day, people notice. They may not know what has changed, but they will sense something different in you. You respond more calmly, you walk more steadily, you speak from a deeper place. This is the unseen reward of morning movement. It shapes not just how you feel, but how you live. It gives you space between stimulus and response. It offers you a buffer between chaos and calm. It allows you to carry peace like a shield and presence like a light. You don't need to follow a specific routine, you only need to move with awareness. That awareness itself will teach you. Some mornings you may want to stretch, others you may want to flow gently through a set of Qigong forms. Let your body speak and listen. It has been waiting for your attention. It has wisdom that your mind alone cannot access. You are claiming your space in the world from the inside out. So when you find yourself awake in these early hours, don't roll over and wait for the sun. Rise gently, move with care and allow your energy to lead the way, because in that movement you are not just preparing for the day, you are becoming the day itself. After you have awakened with your breath and moved with intention, you reach a moment that is even more powerful than action, and that is stillness. Most people think the early morning is for getting ahead or being productive, but there is a deeper kind of productivity that cannot be measured by tasks completed. It is the stillness that lets you return to yourself and listen without noise, without distraction, without the constant hum of doing. When Shi Heng Yi speaks of mastery, he does not speak of achieving more, he speaks of becoming more, and that becoming begins in silence. To sit in stillness during the hours of 3 to 5 is not just about meditating, it is about meeting yourself before the world does. It is the quietest time of the day when the earth itself seems to hold its breath. The mind at this hour has not yet been pulled in 100 directions. The emotions have not yet been stirred by interaction. You are closer to your essence than at any other time. That essence speaks not in language but in presence, and presence can only be heard in stillness. When you sit down without needing to control or fix or chase, you begin to see what has always been there. Your breath continues, but now you are not guiding it. Your body rests, but now you are not moving it. Your thoughts may come, but now you are not reacting to them. You are simply watching. And in that watching, something begins to shift. You stop identifying with every thought that passes. You realize that not every emotion needs a story. You see the difference between what is real and what is noise. This moment of stillness is not empty. It is full of potential. It is where insight grows, where clarity begins to rise, like mist in the morning. You might not hear a voice, but you will sense direction. You might not solve your problems, but you will remember your strength. This is not about finding answers. It is about reconnecting with the part of you that never needed to ask. That part is calm, it is rooted, it does not panic, it knows. Shi Heng Yi teaches that stillness is not the absence of motion, it is the balance of energy. Just as a tree stands still yet is alive with growth and flow beneath its bark, you too can sit in quiet while everything within you aligns. This kind of sitting is not passive, it is deep engagement with what is. It is choosing not to escape, not to distract, not to pretend. It is choosing to be with yourself fully and gently. When you sit in stillness after intentional breath and mindful movement, your body is ready, your mind is softened, and your heart is open. You are not sitting to accomplish something, you are sitting to remember something. That you are not the noise around you, that you are not the pressure to perform, that you are not the thoughts that rise like wind, you are the awareness beneath them, the space that holds them, the stillness that allows life to pass through without being disturbed. This practice trains something deeper than focus. It trains acceptance. It teaches you to sit even when the mind tries to run, to stay even when emotions shift, to observe without jumping in. This is the ground where patience is built and peace is discovered, not as a concept, but as a real experience. And from this place you begin to carry that peace into your day, not as something you need to create again, but as something you already are. Stillness also reveals the subtle layers of tension that breath and movement might not have touched. Maybe your body still holds a quiet fear. Maybe your heart still carries yesterday's sorrow. Maybe your mind still runs toward the future. In stillness, you do not push these things away. You allow them to be seen. And in being seen, they begin to lose their grip. You are not resisting them. And that witnessing itself is healing. You do not need hours for this. Even 5 minutes of silent sitting after your breath and movement is enough to anchor you. It is a reset that does not rely on motivation or willpower. It is simply a return to center, a return to what is real, a return to the unshaken core within you. Each time you wake in these early hours and sit in stillness, you build a relationship with silence. And silence is not the absence of life, it is the voice of truth. It is the ground of discipline. It is the source of action that is not reactive but intentional. And the more you sit with it, the more you find that what you were seeking through noise was always waiting in quiet. So if you find yourself awake in the sacred hours before dawn, do not rush to fill the time. Sit in stillness. Not to escape the world, but to meet it from a place of power. Because it is in the stillness that your real voice begins to rise. After you have breathed with awareness, moved with care, and sat in stillness, something subtle begins to shift within you, and it becomes clear that the next step is not just about action, but about what you allow into your mind. Between 3 and 5 in the morning, your senses are more open, your mind is more absorbent, and your inner world is more accessible. This is the perfect time to feed your mind with clarity, because what you consume mentally in these hours sets the tone for how your thoughts and emotions will move through the day. Shi Heng Yi often reminds us that the quality of your life depends greatly on the quality of the input you allow into your consciousness. And when you understand this, you become more careful, more intentional, and more protective of what enters your inner space. At this time, your mind is like still water, calm, unshaken, and reflective. It hasn't yet been disturbed by distractions or demands. And in this calm, anything you place into it will ripple far and wide. This is why you must choose your first mental impressions with care. Do not start your day by feeding your mind with fear, conflict, or endless noise. Instead, choose thoughts, words, and images that uplift, clarify, and strengthen. You are planting seeds, and the soil has never been more fertile than it is in these early hours. You might choose to read a few lines from a sacred text or a book that carries timeless wisdom. You might choose to repeat a few affirmations or questions that center your attention. You might write in a journal not to dump your worries but to name your focus and align your intention. You might even simply sit with one powerful idea and let it echo through your being. The point is not how much you consume, but how deeply it touches you. Even one thought, held clearly, can shift the shape of your entire day. Most people are not aware of how much garbage they allow into their minds every morning. They wake up and immediately check messages, news, updates, and social media. They invite noise into a mind that was just beginning to be clear. They pour confusion into a heart that was just starting to feel steady. Then they wonder why their day feels scattered, rushed, and stressful. If you start your day in reaction, you will spend the rest of it trying to catch up. But if you begin your day with clarity, you move through it with direction. Shi Heng Yi teaches that clarity is not just mental sharpness, it is emotional balance, it is spiritual calm, it is the ability to see what matters and what does not. And clarity must be cultivated like a garden. You must clear away the weeds of distraction, the pests of doubt, the shadows of comparison. You must water your mind with teachings that endure, truths that elevate, and reflections that challenge you to grow. And just like a garden, this does not happen once. It happens daily, patiently, with attention. Feeding your mind with clarity also means asking yourself better questions. Not what should I do today, but who do I choose to be today? Not what do others expect from me, but what does my purpose ask of me? These questions may not have immediate answers, but they shape your path. They point you toward depth. And in these early hours, your mind is quiet enough to hear the whispers of those answers. You don't need long hours of study or deep philosophical texts. You only need honesty. Honesty with yourself. Honesty about what you have been allowing into your life and what you are now choosing to allow. When you begin to guard the gates of your mind like a sacred temple, you begin to notice which voices strengthen you and which ones shrink you, which ideas bring light and which ones bring fog. And then you begin to choose differently, not out of fear, but out of love for your own clarity. This is how you slowly build inner authority. You no longer rely on outer voices to tell you who you are. You no longer chase validation from the world. You begin to trust your own insight, your own understanding, your own way. And that trust begins in the way you start your morning, the inputs you choose, the words you speak, the thoughts you give attention to. Every morning becomes a practice in mental discipline, and over time this discipline becomes natural, and this natural discipline becomes peace. You might feel at first that it is difficult to focus, that your thoughts still wander, or that clarity feels far away. That is normal. The mind is like a river, and when left alone it flows in all directions. But with gentle redirection, with patience, and with commitment, the river begins to follow your guidance. And soon your clarity is not something you chase, it is something you create. So when you find yourself awake before the world has begun, before the sun has fully risen, choose to feed your mind with light, not noise, with depth, not distraction, with wisdom, not worry. Because in that choice, you are not just shaping your morning, you are shaping your mind. Once your breath is anchored, your body awakened, your mind stilled, and your focus clear, there remains one final step that completes this sacred window between 3 and 5, and that is to act with intention. This is where the inner preparation begins to move outward, not in a rush, not in scattered energy, but with calm focus and quiet purpose. Shi Heng Yi teaches that the way you begin determines the way you continue, and if all the practices before this point have led you into alignment, then the way you take your first outward step should reflect that inner stability. Acting with intention is not about doing many things or making a long list of tasks. It is about choosing the one right thing and doing it fully. It is not about urgency, it is about presence. When you act with intention, you are no longer pulled by fear or pressure. You are moved by clarity and alignment. This changes not only what you do, but how you do it. It brings a certain dignity to your actions, even the small ones. You are not in a race, you are in rhythm. And that rhythm is in tune with your breath, your movement, your stillness, and your clarity. In these early hours, ask yourself, what is the one thing I can do now that supports everything else? What is the one action that carries the energy I cultivated in silence and movement and reflection? Maybe it is writing a simple note. Maybe it is planning one key priority. Maybe it is preparing a meal or doing a focused task with full attention. What matters is not the size of the action, but the presence you bring to it. Most people start their day reacting. They look for what demands attention and jump from task to task trying to stay ahead. But when you begin your day with intention, you shift from reacting to creating, from chasing to leading, from being pulled to being centered. This subtle difference changes everything. It affects the way you speak, the way you move, the way you treat others and yourself. It brings a still strength that others feel even if they don't know where it comes from. Shi Heng Yi often says your energy speaks before your words, and when your first actions are rooted in intention, your energy carries the weight of awareness